Trip down memory lane. Uh, I went to when I went to junior school. The junior school I went to was a school called Bamford Road, uh, and whilst I was there, it was changed. The name changed to Mossfield County Primary School. It's in a town called Haywood,
Yeah.
between Rochdale and Bury, in Lancashire, and of course it's been demolished since then. That makes me old, doesn't it?
I don't know. I don't know. Yes.
Even my senior school in a place called Downhill,
Yeah.
called Sutherland Road, that's been demolished as well. So I'm really old.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, when I was a kid at junior school, we had the local Bobby. He came visit us at school. He was new to the area and he wanted to inform us of his presence. Uh, he was on a bicycle, which for us kids was unusual because we'd only seen policemen either walking on the beat or doing the rounds in the panda car.
Yeah.
Very Dixon and Dock Green. And he advised that if ever any of us had a problem, we could talk to him and that he was our friend
Yeah.
and that he was there to help us.
Mm.
Now, that is something uh, that the police at that time, they did. The
Yeah.
policemen wanted to talk to the kids of the community and say,
Mm.
hi,
Yeah.
it's me. Right? Also, the local police carried out the cycling proficiency course and test for all the school kids who had roadworthy bicycles and wanted to learn how to ride our bicycles safely and learn the highway code.
Yeah.
Once again, when I was a kid, uh, it was the cyclist, child cyclist today is the motorist of tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so, it was well worth doing this activity. And also, it closed the bond between the child and the police again.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. It's all good. Yes.
But oh, how the times have changed since I was a kid. The police now can pay a visit to your house for non-crimes to let you know that somebody is not happy with your demeanor. No need to commit a crime or be accused of a crime. You just have to be a naughty boy or girl
Yeah.
for that knock on the front door. And after all, what will the neighbours say? Since school cycling proficiency tests are now more few and far between, cyclists these days are riding in high density pedestrian areas at high speeds, and that's when they're not snatching cell phones out the hands of the unaware. Going through red lights, going the wrong way in streets that are only for the opposite direction, ignoring cycle lanes, ignorance of the highway code is not always bliss, especially if they get knocked down.
Yeah.
They get knocked down, and it's the car driver that's at fault.
Well, yeah.
And now, just as in Sweden, just as in Paris, police no-go areas are beginning to show in some rather unusual places. The most recent is Regent's Park, place famous for joggers, dog walkers, and lycra-wearing cycling enthusiasts alike. But if you like to carry out these activities early, you can't count on the police to assist if you have a problem, like the Bobby told us to do when I was a kid.
Yeah.
The police informed the public that before 8 a.m. they are not available to be called in the Regent's Park area, in spite of the rise of hammer attacks, bicycle thefts, assaults on joggers, and the like.
Yeah.
So, in other words, don't phone us before breakfast. Now, to be fair, the police, to a certain extent, have their own hands handcuffed, as arrests that they do make are more often than not lost in the ether or disappear.
Mm.
Others that do make it to court give the most lenient of get the most lenient of sentences and are let free to roam the streets again. And those that make it to prison are let out early because the prison's being somewhat overpopulated. The MP who was arrested and
Oh yeah.
charged and sentenced to punching the guy in the
Mm.
street, sentenced to 10 weeks in prison,
Mm.
has just been let free.
Oh yeah. On a
Put
pill.
him on
Yeah.
a bender instead. And, you know, so,
Yep.
he's Biffa is going to be Biffa, as I call him.
Yeah.
He's going to be let free to thump somebody else
Okay.
next time he gets drunk.
Well.
So, uh, I think it's a case of why should we bother in the police's case? Why bother?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's better to have a quiet life than to have a frustrated one, and sometimes a dangerous one, as thugs are being kept out of prison and, like I said, unleashed onto the streets, once again looking for payback. So how does the police look busy? What do they do to look busy? Well, they've tried dancing at carnivals, painting their pandas police cars with rainbows. Not very Z-carsy, you know. A long stretch from the old panda.
Yeah.
And none of that worked. On the
Oh.
contrary, it gave the unruly a little bit more wiggle room to be, well, unruly.
Yeah. I know. Yes.
So now the police are becoming just innocent bystanders at protests and punch bags if things get rowdy.
Yeah.
And at quieter times, they like to knock on doors to let them know to be careful, to let people know to be careful because they haven't committed a crime. Yep, times have changed since I was a kid.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
Comments?
I'm yeah, I'm going to respond with a straight face. Yeah. I mean, like you, we had we had visit in our school. We had visits from the policeman there, very popular guy. Oddly enough, his surname was Bacon, PC Bacon. Yeah, and I think he said, "I know the jokes, guys. I know the jokes." Yeah, straight away. Yeah, he broke the ice with that. Yeah, great guy. I read a while ago that he'd actually died, but he did a lot in the community as well. You know, he out away from being a policeman, he was helping youth and everything else. He saw it as his calling. I remember him telling us what his political feelings were as well, who he voted for. And it's in the 1980s, and it wasn't for the administration then, it was for the opposition. Yeah. So he said, don't think that all us police like what's going on necessarily in the world. He said, but yeah. Yeah, he did speak about it. I could imagine him being the sort of copper or police like copper, we call them coppers, so yeah, come up. And if you were being a little bit mischievous, yeah, watch it. Yeah, I've got my eyes on you now. Watch it. Yeah, not police brutality, police harassment, a friendly knock on the wrist. Yeah. And yeah, you'd be as well to heed that warning. Nice guy. And yeah, but when he came in, I remember he bought a bag of weapons that had been confiscated, knuckle dusters with knives on and every things I can buy legally on the street, legally from shops in the local shopping mall here, you know. Yeah, my wife is worried about me because I was looking at this one day thinking, no, it's interesting. Yeah. But yeah, it's a
Ask the shop. You should have asked the shop assistant with your missus present. Would this leave marks on the victim?
yeah. Well, yeah. Well, funny enough, they call knuckle dusters translates as an English punch here. Yeah. So, not I'm encouraging the use of such things. Yeah. I just always remember that. And he spoke about drug use, and he spoke about lots of other things. Yeah. And he basically said, "You get into you'll be my best friend, or we'll be good friends, or worst enemies. That choice is yours." Yeah. So yeah, and Yeah, I think it had an impact on us. It was very popular. We only got disappointed because I think my class only ever had one visit on from him, and others had three for some reason. We were quite disappointed because his lessons were great, or his sessions were great. Um, yeah, again, it was community liaison. We're regular guys like you are. We're here to do a job. Yeah. Don't make our job any more difficult than I want it to be. Yeah. And he spoke about having to police football games and going up north once. Yeah, being on transfer going up north, and he just happened to speak, and he was a Londoner. So kill the Cockney copper sort of thing was the chant that went round in Bradford or somewhere, the football ground. Okay. That was banter. He knew that. We all knew that. Yes, today it's very much changed. Um, you got to remember there was a mixture of policing. Um, police was a career. People might leave the army, go into the police, or might do other things, go into the police. It was a calling. When I was young, you either went, as I did, went on the railway, went into the police force, or went into the military. Yeah, I chose the railway. Um, it's a profession. It's a call. It's like teaching or anything else. You did it because you wanted to do it. Yeah, okay. Yeah, there was a bit of a uniform goes with it. Even other policemen used to look down on the police that just were there for the glory of it. Yeah, there are lots of police who didn't like that. Now it seems the other way around. The police like the prestige and the glory of it. I'm not saying every policeman. And you see that evident, especially in London. Yeah,
Especially naughty ones abusing the power.
yeah, that's it. And they used to get slapped down, sometimes quite literally, by their colleagues. Yeah, I mean, the
But it's
rapid.
important. It's important to say, Mark, that this, of course, is a very small minority.
Yes, it's a minority, but yeah, unfortunately, yeah, you see them frontlining sometimes. I think there are police who don't like what's going on at the moment, but unfortunately, they need a job as well. Yeah, we know that that's going on. As to other things you were talking about, yeah, it's respect for the police, and policing by consent means we respect what they do. Yeah, we respect the police, and this is why we used to have the visits by the police, the liaison, the local bobby on the beat, as it called. Yeah, the community policeman. Yeah, he was known by anyone. I mean, probably not so much in my time, but in your time, he didn't have to do a lot. If you were caught doing something, he'd take you to your house. You go in there,
They
and
give you a good kick up the shitter.
yeah, and then you go there, and you're probably your father would give you one for being caught. Yeah,
Another one.
yeah. But that was the contract they had. Yeah. He didn't want to put you in prison. He didn't want you to have a criminal record. There does seem to be a desire now to have people having criminal records, score sheets.
When they started bringing out those ASBOs for
Yeah,
adolescents,
yeah,
they were wearing them like a badge.
yeah,
That's ridiculous.
yeah. I mean, there used to be a fear of actually having something. I mean, it's engagement of younger people. Now, I'm not saying there's only younger people do it. Now, what's been going on in the police in the UK? I mean, we're looking from here. Yeah. I mean, we know not to run foul of the police in Brazil for any reason. Yeah. There is some robust policing go on here. Yes. I'm not going to go into that because that's a Brazilian matter, not my matter. Yeah. I'll stay out of it. But yes, the police in the UK do seem a bit lost. Um, Now, this ridiculousness of a non-hate crime, something's either a crime or it's not. Yeah. Maybe the police have to come and investigate. Is there something underlying here? If an old granny of 60s, 70s says something, puts a comment about some political issue or some politician that's been caught doing things that's in the public domain. Okay, we're in a different world now with social media. Maybe we got to learn how to use social media better. Yeah. You and I know that, we're very circumspect what we say, but we comment about things in the public domain. If she comments about something that doesn't necessarily advocate harm or anything else to an individual, it's a statement. Then they should be entitled to a say. Okay, you put something on social media, it could be there forever, even if you delete it. Yeah. And you've got to be careful because that's your feelings at the time. Yeah. It's not a pub conversation, that's your feelings at the time. Yeah. And we know this. Yeah. But it's ridiculous. It's easy targeting. Yeah. The guy kicking in a window of a jeweler shop and driving, yeah, doing that down the road is a difficult thing to do because he might hurt them. Yeah. And like I said, the police used to be quite hard as well. Yeah. They used to get away with swinging one back as well if need be. Yeah. And the criminals didn't like to admit they'd been done over by a copper either, as well. There's that side to it as well. Yeah.
They get another one.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah. Yeah, okay.
In them days, Matt, you had to be a man.
Yeah.
And nobody likes a man who squeals on another man.
Yeah.
You know,
That,
you gotta do your bird, you gotta take your punishment like
mm,
a man.
yeah.
And if you start crying like a baby and start spreading, you get another thick ear just to just tide you over.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, unfortunately, yes, and that's the point I'm making. And the other ridiculous thing I have seen, unfortunately, is, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with having police, women constable, police constables, female police constables, and people. They do a good job and they're required. When you see two, yeah, police women having to approach one particular guy, he's going to get away. 9 times out of 10 is going to get away. I don't care how fit these women are. They're not up the level of female MMA fighters. Yeah. I'm sorry. Yeah, there should be at least one male there with them because they're not going to respect you in this day and age. Yeah. Um,
I mean, the women were brought into on the scene because they said that a man would never hit a woman, you know, and then the women used to be sent in to calm the man down, especially in a bar
well,
fight.
yeah, that's what I mean. There could be good uses. I mean, you've got to make a judgment on that. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to hit a woman. Yeah. I wouldn't want to hit a man. That doesn't mean the threat's not there. I wouldn't want to do it. Yeah. Because, yeah, lots of different reasons. Unless my life is threatened. But again, if you've got a criminal who could get away and do something and knows he's going to get away with it anyway, no, they're going to get no support. Apparently, you can give a kick into a policeman in an airport and get suspended, sentenced. Yeah. What message does that send to anyone? Anyone? Yeah. And
Why I think the police, I mean, it's saying to people, you know, it's going to be worth the while. You
mm,
give a policeman a good kicking, and you're just going to go through the system, pay a fine, and get back on the street,
yeah,
and life goes on. And I think it's good value for money. And I
mm,
think that's why the police are being like they are, being aloof at
yeah.
protests, because they just don't want to be put in the middle of something to get a good kick in, and nothing's going to be done about it.
I watched the footage of the St. George's Day parade, and overall it went okay. Last one, yeah, okay. There was a political undertone in there, which I thought was a bit of a shame, but that was inevitable. It's been created as well by our establishment. Let's be honest about it. In my opinion, I'm not telling anyone else to hold the same opinion as me. Yeah. Um, but I'm not advocating violence of any type. But you could see that some of the police were so frustrated about having to be restrained for weeks and weeks and seeing things. They were looking forward to a good friendly jostle with, people probably the same mentality. Yeah. Um, and that's what it is sometimes. Yeah, these people, they know they can get away with it. A little bit of pushing and shoving, and yeah, a bit of good old toxic masculinity
Yeah,
involved in
sure.
that. And
Yep.
that's what it always was of it. The policeman got hold of you and all that. Yeah, there might be a little bit of squirming, but as you said, came a point. Yeah,
You can tell that, Matt, because the people who are doing the pushing and shoving on the public side
yeah,
are all men of my age.
yeah,
You know? And
yeah,
they're just trying to be seen as being this I've still got it sort of thing.
yeah, yeah. I think the
And
police. Yeah,
they're never going to do any damage,
yeah.
you know.
I mean, I think I swear I even saw one guy go against a policeman. There was a bit of a wink between them. It was a yeah. We're just going to be here. It's a bit of a workout. I'm not advocating this, by the way. I mean, yeah, I know
No,
people
no.
take it out of context. I mean, yeah, we're humorous. We're British. We have that sense of humor about us. Yeah. Um, but again, I grew up. But I think the other thing with the police, like you said, in the 1960s, you had Dixon and Dog Green. Yeah. And I do think cultural media has a lot to play with people's perceptions. Yeah. Even subliminally. Okay. You had Dixon and Doc Green. I mean, remember the original character did actually get murdered in the Blue Lamp, but they brought back the character because he was something that people liked. And here it was very good policing. He would be at the front and everything else. He played the friendly local Bobby. Yep. And yeah, we used to watch the storylines develop. It was good against bad. The good always overtook. Yeah, he did. There was a little bit of banter in it with the copper and everything else. Yeah, but he had, even his character was gentle. He had a bit of menace about him. Yeah, that would sometimes come through, and that's I think it was the 60s, 50s, 60s. Yeah. Then in the 70s, you got police dramas like Minder.
Well, don't forget back in the 60s you had Z cars as
Z
well.
cars
Z
as well. Yeah, Z cars 60s through into the 70s. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, again, which was a nice, gentle thing. They had,
Transition.
yeah, yeah, the police for community, but again, they had their heavies in there, Ryan Blessold and others. Yeah, who played good parts. And then you got Sweeney, and then a bit
That's
later,
when it started to get violent. That's where they started bringing the violence and the
yeah,
fast cars and the crashing and
yeah, yeah,
the
with a
Sweeney
squid.
the professionals and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the professional was a bit of a side thing. A real fantasy that went off into the realms of fantasy.
Yeah,
It's good, but it went off into the realms of fantasy. I would
that's
hope
right.
that the character, an organisation like in the professionals, doesn't actually exist. Yep. Um, Interesting if it did, but yes. Um, but yeah, the minder, yeah, and then you got the bill, which was trying to show community issues. And it showed sort of the hatred that police had within themselves and then aggravation from outside. And overall, you could sort of see the respect for the police diminishing as well. Yeah. Whereas people in the 70s, 60s, and 70s could understand this. I think we started to grow up in a world where the influences of media came in. And now we've got this thing called social media, which probably we know too much of what's going on as well from the news. Yeah. Um, we're beginning to understand how people in establishment manipulate society to their own ends, whatever their agendas are. Yeah. And I'm afraid the police, to a point, are carrying the brunt of that. I don't know. Um, yeah, it does strike me that if a policeman does actually say what's going on is wrong, they're removed from frontline duty. I don't know how true that is. Again, it's things that have been I've seen on social media. Um, I also see police whinging about things, and now, as you said, this of the police affiliating themselves with one particular political or organization or section of society where they should be above that. Yeah. I don't care about the ethnicity of a policeman. If a policeman comes up to me, or in the UK and here actually, of course, I'll be compliant. Yeah. If he says, "What you doing?" I mean, I'm not going to tell him my life story. Well, I'm just here. Yeah. What you thinking? I don't know. I've been accused of not thinking. Yeah. Doesn't matter where I am. I don't need to tell the policeman what I'm thinking. Yeah. Um, I'm not carrying a weapon. I'm not intimidating. I'm a big person. But if I'm standing by a wall in a public area doing absolutely nothing, I can't see why they should ask me what I'm thinking. Yeah. Um, I'm in my nothing box at that point. Yeah. As far as anyone's concerned. Yeah. And that's a known established thing as well. You prove otherwise. Um,
I don't think they want to know what you're thinking. They might want to know what you're doing. I mean, if for them you look suspicious.
Yeah, fair
You know,
enough.
you don't seem to have a motive as to why you stood against the wall.
Mm.
You know,
No,
then I mean, just as they would come up to you and say, "What are you doing?" A member of the public would cross the road because they don't consider you as being a they consider you as possibly being a possible threat.
yeah,
You
okay.
know, so you know, one can't be right and the other can be wrong.
Yeah. I mean, yes, if a police, as I said, I'll be compliant. Yeah, what you doing? Well, well, I'm just standing here. Is there a
I've
problem,
never had a
officer?
policeman ask me what I thought, what I've been thinking.
Yeah, well,
I've never.
it's been recorded that yeah, they've gone up to people standing in some sort of exclusion zones outside certain establishments, and yeah, what you doing? Are you praying? Well, again, somebody can pray privately if somebody's shouting out words or anything else. But again, I mean, yes, it's provocative. Well, I don't know what really thinking, to be quite honest. I'm just standing here. Um, yeah, I mean, again, I think these exclusion zones are quite, I mean, yeah, you could be waiting for someone. But again, that's not even the policeman's business unless they suspect you of drug dealing or something else, in which case, tell me you suspect me of something. Yeah. And I'll tell you that. Search me if you need to. Yeah. If you've got, yeah, I think there is this thing. If I've been searched by the police at a
Yeah,
station,
yeah.
and fair enough, I didn't have anything to hide. Out it came. Yeah. Yeah. Empty your pockets and your bag. They look bag. Yeah. Nothing in there that's of any concern to them. Yeah. For them. Yeah. So fair enough. But yeah, to ask people what they're thinking, which I've seen videos of, and that goes out online, is going to bring some disrespect upon you as well. Yeah.
If a policeman says, "What do you think you're doing?" I can understand that.
Yeah.
But I mean,
I,
what do you think? What are your thoughts at this moment?
I've seen that. I've seen that on video.
Only if the person is becoming tense
Yeah.
and is getting into a prone position to, you know, clenching his fists, then a policeman could say, "What are you thinking now?
Well, he could say what?
Why are you clenching your fists?
Yeah.
Why are you tensing up?"
Yeah.
You know.
What? Why are you doing this? Yeah. Well, I'm.
Yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
sure.
again, yeah. If you're
Well,
relaxed,
I honestly think that the police, in most of the time, they're between a rock and a hard place,
I
and
agree with
I'm
you there.
sure there are
Yeah.
an awful lot of very frustrated policemen around
Yeah.
who just want to get on with the job and and be supported at the top end.
Mm.
You know, a lot of them aren't being supported at the top end.
I
I mean,
think, as I said,
you
an
mentioned
establishment. Yeah.
you mentioned the I think it was a Manchester airport incident where
Not directly, but yeah.
a policeman had a nose broken by one of
Yeah.
these thugs,
Mm.
and they were just let back on the street. You know, I
Mm.
mean, what can you do?
But the other thing is, who'd be a policeman? Yeah.